Hello Beam Tribe, Nick here in Ottawa, and today in this awareness video I want to talk about knee pain. As a physio, knee pain was something I saw a ton of people for, and virtually all knee pain is preventable. And that's something people need to know, because I think we have this weird tendency to make the assumption that knee pain is an equipment fault. Okay, what I mean by that is there is a flaw in your knee joint which inevitably will give you pain and breakdown. And it's simply not true, right? And I like to differentiate between an equipment fault, which is a problem with your equipment, a problem with your body, versus a user's fault. And a user fault is a problem in how the person using that body or that machine is using it, right? So I'll give you a quick analogy with a car. If you have a diesel car and you put non-diesel fuel in it, if you put normal gas in a diesel car, the car is going to break down. That is not a problem with the car itself. That is not an equipment fault. That is a user's fault, right? A user fault is where the person put the wrong kind of fuel in the car. And so knee pain is not an equipment fault, it's a user fault. So now we just have to identify what the user fault is and allow people to take back control, resolve the user fault, and use the equipment like it's supposed to be used, okay? So with knee pain, the thing with knee pain is it's not a problem with your knee. Almost always the knee pain is a proximal effect of a root cause elsewhere. And when it comes to the body, we have this concept called regional interdependence, where basically let's think of it like a sports team. You have a sports team, if one player is not doing their job, another player has to pick up the slack. Okay, if a bunch of players aren't doing their jobs or aren't tapping into the game, then there's gonna be certain people that are gonna work really, really hard and they might break down or they might get injured. So if we think of regional interdependence with the body, if one joint isn't doing its job or one muscle group isn't doing its job, another muscle group has to pick up the slack. And this holds really true with the knee. So if we look at the joint above the knee, it's the hip. If we look at the joint below the knee, it's the ankle. If your ankle is locked up, and if your hip joint doesn't move because you spend a lot of time in one shape, namely sitting in chairs, your knee is going to be doing way more work than it's supposed to. Right? If your deep hip muscles don't stabilize your hip, you have not earned the right to use that hip joint and all the big muscles around it, like your glutes. So what happens? Well, you start to use your hamstrings and your quads to do a lot more of the work. And if your quads are always tight, then they're going to put a lot more stress on your knee joint, especially your patellofemoral joint, where your kneecap interacts with your femur. And that's a popular area where people start to get knee pain. If your ankle's not doing what it's supposed to, it doesn't give you the freedom to be able to use all the joints upstream, and so your hip doesn't get to be used because your ankle's not allowing it to be used, right? That holds true with walking especially. So if your ankle's locked up and your hip's not doing what it's supposed to, your knees are going to take the brunt of it. And a lot of people, including health professionals like physiotherapists, look at, oh, your quads are tight. We got to loosen your quads and it's going to get rid of your knee pain. Problem is the quad tightness is a proximal cause. It's not the root cause, right? Quad tightness is a factor, but why is the quad tight? Right? Why is the quad doing way more work than it's supposed to? Because we don't have a body that's designed to always have super tight muscles. We have to figure that out. And almost always it's a movement problem. And what causes the movement problem are these restrictions we develop from things that we take for granted, like wearing stiff shoes that have an elevated heel that doesn't allow our ankle to move. Like sitting in chairs for prolonged periods of time, which stiffens up our hips, unplugs the deep stabilizers, disconnects us from being able to use muscles like our glutes in the right patterns, okay? So we're gonna create a bunch of tools videos for addressing all of these root causes, but I think it's really important, and what I would like to convey in this awareness video is that your knee pain is not a problem with your knee, it's a problem with how you're using your knee. And if you understand how to improve how you're using your knee, how to improve your movement quality by taking out the things that cause that movement quality to break down, you can get pain-free, resilient, functional knees and never have knee pain again. And if you do have knee pain, it'll be temporary, right? Because then you can work on it and readdress those root causes, right? If you're doing stuff and working on your body and improving your movement, and for a month you just kind of fall off the bandwagon and don't do much, your knee might start to bug you again. But if you get to work and start to address these things, it'll go away, right? Our joints are not designed to break down after 30, 40, 50 years. They just aren't. They're supposed to last 100 years. our cartilage is very resilient. But if you are doing 4 times as much work at your knee joint because you're not doing any of it at your hip and your ankle, you're gonna wear through your knee joint 4 times as fast, right? So the tools videos will end up helping you understand these are the common problems, this is how to screen those areas, and this is how to address those areas so that your knee can start to do what it's supposed to and not be as painful. Okay, hopefully that helps to kind of simplify things, and check out those. We'll probably create a knee pain health kit, which puts all, this video, some tools, and some things that you can do to work on your movement into one spot. Hope you enjoyed that. Catch you in the next video.